Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we have an amazing guest and we are all the way in Joe Cross's office at home with Joe. And we reached out to you guys and you gave us hundreds and hundreds of questions for Joe. We narrowed them down and we have the 10 best. So we were doing 10 questions with Joe, the hit movie star from Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, successful businessman, and so many other things. So let's hop into it. Hey Joe, how's it going?
Hey Gillian, how you doing?
Yeah, great. Thanks for welcoming us into your home.
It's lovely to be here. This is, as you said, my office. This is the workbench. This is where it all gets done.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I think we'll start with, somebody had one of the questions about business. So since we're in your office, somebody was asking who's inspired you the most as far as business goes, whether it be books or people, and any tips for success.
It's a good question. I get that conversation or that question a lot about inspiration, and I draw inspiration from many, many people. I'm in awe of businessmen like Steve Jobs and these sorts of people who've built just incredible businesses literally out of their garage, of course. But, you know, my dad was a doctor and he was a surgeon, and I'm actually really inspired, obviously, by my dad, but I'm inspired by people who just do science and spend so much energy and effort and time trying to solve problems and to try and help us in our everyday lives. And so, you know, there's millions of people out there. I'm inspired by nurses as well, as we all know, teachers. So, in fact, you know, like you can go from the Steve Jobs, which is the top, but I think I tend to draw more inspiration out of everyday people that are out there giving service to others.
Yeah, awesome. Well said. And okay, so somebody also asked, would you ask Joe to give us an update on trucker Phil Staples? Does he stay in touch with him?
Yeah, so Phil and we obviously met during the filming. So that's 16 years ago we met in a truck stop in Winslow, Arizona. And for those who haven't watched the movie, Phil is somebody that watches what I'm doing, and then he asks for my help, and we go back to America and film him. I was already home in Australia on Mother's Day, believe it or not, when I got this message. So Phil, you know, one of the things about documentary filmmaking is you got to keep it real. You know, people don't get paid. It's not scripted. Scripted doesn't really work. You can the audience has a good radar for when something's not real. And so, you know, Phil did what he did in the movie. I stayed in a lot of touch with him before the release of the film. The movie was released. He came to the premiere. Phil changed his life in so many ways, got married, got divorced. You know, it was one of those classic examples that, you know, Phil sort of, probably if he had his time over again, he would do things differently.
Yeah.
But, you know, that can be said for a lot of us. So I kind of lost touch with Phil for a while, and then recently we reconnected. He needed some help where he was living to get a GoFundMe page up to help him with getting back on his feet. So I supported that and shared that with the community. But, you know, in terms of keeping in touch and being on day, not really, no.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes decisions are made by people, and that's, you know, they have consequences, and that's life, you know.
True. Yeah, good point. Well said. True. And any tips for not losing weight on a juice fast? A lot of people think, oh, I don't want to get too skinny. I'm already skinny. I don't want to look shriveled up. Any tips for that?
That's a difficult one, because generally what you do on a juice fast is you lower your caloric intake. So for somebody who is looking to not lose weight but do some fasting, it's a really tough one, Gillian, and there's no real sort of like do this or do that. But, you know, it probably to limit the number of days is the first thing. And also I would probably, you know, add in, like if depending on what's the reason for the fast, I'd probably have to add in a supplement of high energy nutrients like avocado, for example. So it may well be that you just have to have 3 or 4 avocados that you eat a day, and that's just part of what you're doing in your fast. So you're not really going to just all juice, because I think that's you know, you'd have to drink a tremendous amount of juice to get the caloric intake up to the number. So I don't know if people are capable of doing that. Like, you know, probably 12 or 13 bottles of juice a day to get up to that level.
Yeah.
So it's a tough one, you know. I do remember reading about some of these people who go on these extreme Arctic and Antarctic expeditions that they consume olive oil
Wow.
5,000-6,000 calories of olive oil a day.
Wow.
So, if you really, I haven't investigated it, but if you really wanted to stick to liquids, olive oil could be something that you could consume that's a liquid form that's very high in calories.
Yeah.
But I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying that at the end of the day, juice fasting for people who are underweight, who want to put on weight, that's not the option.
Yeah. Okay. And this next question is great. Have you gone through some hard times in life that don't have to do with health? And how did you choose to get through those times?
Oh, I have many hard times in life that have got nothing to do with health. How do you get through them? Well, it's like anybody. There's no sort of. I don't think I have any secret sort of like
Secret sauce.
do this and do that.
Yeah.
I think what happens is that it's. I think there's a word that we use in our life and language called perspective that we don't generally use enough. We don't use enough perspective in our lives. So when things are really tough for me, when things are going hard and bad, and I feel that from my perspective they're bad, I kind of zoom out and I look at where I am in my life and where others are. And while the people at home are watching this video, somewhere in the world, someone's walked in to a doctor and has been told that they've got terminal cancer or they've got a terminal illness of some other. Someone's dropped dead of a heart attack just now, somewhere in the world. Someone's just passed. So there's always going to be someone doing it tougher than me. And that's how I use perspective. I use this to really drill in and to make sure that I am looking at my predicament through a lens that is not just solely from my perspective. I like to encompass it all. So once I've done that, I can then categorize how serious the issue is. Now, if it's an emotional problem like, the passing of a friend or a family member, well, that's hard to do in all of that. You just got to look to celebrate their life or what they did do while they were here and try to do the glass half empty or half full model, look at the rosier side of things, what they call it, choose the silver lining and everything. But look, it's a tough one. Like generally with respect to, humans, we juggle sort of 5 things in our life. We juggle love, we juggle health, we juggle career, we juggle our self, and we juggle the world around us, like our family and friends, and that family and friends, that last one, that can cause a lot of grief for a lot of people. The health one can, the career one can certainly do it. Love and how we sort of deal with love in the world, whether it's relationship or love from others. And then, of course, yourself, like that relationship with self. So we're all jugglers, right? We're all juggling those 5 things. Now, I can say I'm pretty good at maybe 3 or 4 of those things. I'm like 9 out of 10. But then maybe one of them I'm 2 out of 10. Well, you have to be good at all of them. Otherwise, that one that you're sort of not good at will drag everything else down. So we have to pay attention to our weaknesses in those areas. And I try to do my best at that, but when you don't and you ignore it or something comes from a shock, it can have a big effect. So I don't know if I'm making too much sense. I'm trying to put it from a perspective of I always try to look for the upside. I try to stay positive that I'll get through it. And if it's a financial problem, then I should maybe talk to a friend, talk to someone about it. 2 heads are better than 1. If it's a family situation, like I said, then if someone's giving you the shits or you're angry or, someone's, disappointing you, whatever, it's hard, but you got to learn somehow to forgive. And they're probably the way that I get through those things.
I love it. Great answer. And somebody said, I would love to know how he stays on track and if he's ever gotten off track.
Oh, I go off track all the time. Ever gone off track? I mean, the definition of what is off track. See, for me, like I don't want to be sick again. Okay. Now, at this moment in time, I have a cough, which I talked about on a live the other day, that I've had this cough for quite a while, and I don't like having a cough. So I don't like not being my best. And so is that off track? Yeah, it's off track. Now, is that my fault? I don't know, but I've got to try and solve it. So I've done some fasting and it was good, but then it didn't go away, So I'm going to see a specialist when I go back to Australia in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to have a look. And I've had a CT scan on my lungs, and it's nothing there. So these sorts of things, are you off track? Yeah, I'm human. I'm normal.
Yeah.
What is on track? What is off track? I think, like I've said many times for those people listening to me, is there's two relationships in your life you've got to have, and they've got to be strong. That's the relationship with yourself, self-love, self-care, and the relationship with plants. And the relationship with plants is actually respecting what food you put into your body and how often you do. And so I think I'm pretty good at those two things. I think where I fall down, Gillian, if you get into the house of mirrors, is I think I have too much volume of food. Mm-hmm. Like I'm a big eater and I eat too much. So my sort of challenge, if you like, in life is to learn to eat less. Mm-hmm. But I have big appetite, and sometimes my eyes are bigger than my stomach. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of where I would say that I have to sort of focus on.
It's very common, very relatable. I think a lot of us have been there for sure. And okay, somebody said, how did the documentary change your life?
How did it change my life?
How did it change your life? Yeah, your huge documentary. I was asking you before we got on here, did you expect it to blow up like that?
No, we had no idea. It was, you can't predict those kind of things that go viral. Like when someone's making a TikTok, they don't know it's going to go viral. If they knew, they'd make them all the time, right? How did it change my life? Well, it certainly altered the career path, I think, of my life, which is a big change. So, today I'm focused on health and wellness companies and businesses, and that's what I spend time on. And so I don't think I would have done that had I not made the movie. I probably would have stuck with financial services and funds management and stockbroking and all those boring things.
Yeah, right? This is way better, right?
Way better.
Yeah.
Well, you get to meet nicer people too.
Yeah.
And so I think it was one of those situations where that changed because that changed the course of my life, because I ended up getting into something that all these people would want to hear more about and learn more about. And we are now, we're 13 years, 16 years since I made the movie.
Wow.
And we are 12 years since the release, and I'm still talking about it.
No, wait, was that many years between making it and the release?
Yeah, well, I started filming in October of 2007, and we released it in 2011.
Okay, what would you say to somebody right now who has the dream of creating a documentary of their own or something on that scale? Any advice?
Don't do it.
Why?
No. Okay, so the first thing is it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Wow.
It's a very, 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 very difficult thing to do, because you film 500 hours of content and you have to somehow go through it all over and over and over again, which is really hard to do, and look at what's the best parts and try and make it a coherent story that people are not going to turn off. If you think about making a video at home, try and make one for 10 minutes that people want to stay watching.
True, yeah.
Without stopping.
Yeah.
So trying to make a movie for an hour and 40 minutes that people will stick with, it's a very difficult task. So first of all, if you want to make one, go for it, of course. I'm joking by saying don't do it, but just realize how difficult and how hard it is. It's a very, very, very tough thing.
Well, you did a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're great.
Beginner's luck.
You are great at it. And even in the kitchen today with Joe, subscribe, follow for more videos we did. I'll link them down below if they're up now. But you're just such a powerhouse behind the camera. I can tell with editing everything and what to do. You're so strong. And
can't help but be a director.
You could write a book on all this, right? With helping people do this. You're really good at it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And yeah, again, good job on the film. Next question. Knowing everything you know now, what would you do different? Would you still do a juice fast if faced with health challenges?
Oh, definitely. I mean, without a shadow of a doubt. Mm-hmm. I think that the ability to give your body a chance to pause, give it a chance to reset, to reboot itself and to self-heal, that's the key. So you could do a juice fast. You could just do plant food diet only. You could do water fasting. But do something that gives the body this chance to heal itself. That's the key. Mm-hmm. That's the key. So get out of the way of your own self.
True. And then the body can do the work.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you feel juicing helped you overcome food addiction, or has it still been a struggle? Would you have found it easier to maintain weight if you just stuck to plant-based foods? I think some people think juicing is extreme and can send us in the opposite direction or not be good.
Sure. No, I understand that. I think for some people, once again, everybody's different.
Yeah.
I don't think juicing is a good idea for weight management. I wouldn't say to people, you should juice to manage weight. If you note, most of the time, 99% of the time I talk about juicing, it's for chronic disease and and illnesses. And so that's where I would come down and say that the fasting side of things really helps people with chronic illness to allow the body to repair. Now, can it do that with a plant-based diet? Of course it can. But, Coca-Cola is vegan, right? And people still drink that, right? So, you can have Coca-Cola and be plant-based. So there's a certain levels when you actually do a juice fast, the fact of what you're preventing going into your body and stopping alcohol and everything else, it really gives your body a chance to get on top. So it is extreme, but if you've got a chronic illness and you're extremely in pain, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Now, if you're 30 or 40 or 50 pounds overweight and you want to try and lose the weight, then the best thing for them to do that is to get into a training exercise, try and lose a pound a week or 2 pounds a week and exercise and eat a balanced, healthy meal 3 times a day and stop snacking. I mean, that's the model.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
No, I know.
But that's what you do.
Yeah, totally. Okay, great answer again. And the next one is, I would love to know, it's a few questions in one. I would love to know his favorite juice and what is the benefit. Well, we just did a video for that, so stay tuned for that. And what was his involvement in the making of the Nama Juicer? Will he ever make another documentary in juicing and health foods? That's a good question, too.
So the Nama is a sort of brainchild of Dan Sheehan and myself. We got together and thought that the world needs a better juicer, and I'll give Dan all the credit. He's done most of the work. I'm just I just smile, and so we're very excited about what we've created. And so I'm involved in Nama from that perspective as an early partner with Dan. And what was the other question?
The other question was, will you ever make another documentary about this type of thing?
Oh, look, I actually do want to make more films. Whether they're about juicing or not, I don't know. Probably not about juicing because I feel like that's been done.
Yeah.
But, I was talking to a buddy of mine in the film industry last week, and we were discussing, what would be the best subject for a film to make. And, we had a whole lot of ideas, and one of them, which was really interesting, was talk about money. Yeah. And people don't understand what money is or how to use it or how best to save it or to use it. And so, it's something that I've had in business. I've had a lot of experience with it. And so we thought maybe we'd do something different. So that's an example of how my brain thinks, that there's so many stories about money and we don't teach it at schools. We should. And people just do not understand what all these things are out there. And they don't realize what happens. What is monetary policy? What is quantitative easing? What is it when the interest rates go up? And what does the Reserve Bank do? And how does that function? And how does it affect our lives? It's very important.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't know.
No.
So I was thinking something along those lines.
Yeah, I would totally watch that. That would be great.
It could be fun.
Yeah, it'd be so fun for you. And the next one is benefits of green juice. They have a few questions too. Benefits of green juices versus fruit juices. Do you keep a specific ratio? And do you think fruit juices can mess with our blood sugars?
Sure. I mean, the idea of just having straight, fresh fruit juice is not something we recommend. I mean, you can do it in the morning. When I have a grapefruit juice in the morning before working out, that's great. If you really think about, and everyone's different once again, but, I prefer to make a juice that has lots of different vegetables from the fruit and vegetable rainbow. Say take some cucumbers, some celery, some carrots, beets, just knock around with a whole bunch of different produce. But then if you want to sweeten it, put some pineapple, put some pear, put some orange, put some apple, put some lemon in, and you will get it sweeter. So, that's we run a rule, sort of 80-20 rule, 80% from the veggie world, 20% from the fruit world.
Okay, awesome. And another great question next is, what does a day in the life look like for Joe Cross? And do you have a morning routine?
Well, it depends where I am in the world. When I'm here in LA, I tend to sleep until about 9 a.m. because I'm usually up till about 1 a.m. Dealing with Australia. So the time zone sort of works to deal with Australia. When I'm in Australia, I tend to get up much earlier to deal with America. So it really does depend. But while I'm here, will get up at like I said, 8, 9 a.m. in the morning. And generally, my first thing I do, I don't eat a big breakfast. I have a juice. I will usually come in here and answer emails, do the calls that are set. I'll probably venture out at about 11 and do some movement of some style. I'll either go for a walk or go down to the gym. that'll be something that's done sort of during the middle of the day. I don't like working out first thing in the morning or late at night. I prefer doing it middle of the day. Then I've got an appetite, and then I'll either get in the car and drive up somewhere, or I'll have some salads here and I'll make out. I tend to like to have a lot of salad for lunch, or a sandwich. That's kind of my lunches. Dinner is when I enjoy a meal. I enjoy the whole ritual of a dinner at night. And last night I watched some Netflix. I tend to watch something at the end of my day, unless I've gone out somewhere and been out with friends. But if I'm home, I tend to watch something like maybe an hour and 20 minutes or something of content. I've been watching Law and Order, SUV. I started back at the beginning, and I'm watching Law and Order from 20 years ago and seeing how the flip phones and the sort of cars and the attitude and, just learning a lot about how culture was 20 years ago. And so I'm always trying to learn. I like listening to the news, even though it's not really news; it's always just opinions. But I try to stay in touch with things. I read a lot. I play games. I like do Wordle every day with my dad. We go against each other competition. So I think that's probably how my day is. But that's when I'm home and it's relaxed. When I'm on the road, anything can happen.
Yeah, and do you take your juicer on the road?
No, I don't take it. I tend to go to places where I can buy a fresh juice or something. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, this has been nice. Thanks for coming on.
You're welcome, Gillian. It's been great.
Thanks for the 10 questions. And where can everybody find you? Do you have programs?
So I'm on Joe the Juicer on Instagram at rebootwithjoe.com, and and Joe Cross on Facebook. And the Joe Cross community group page is very popular on Facebook. So a lot of people juice there. So check that out.
Awesome. Okay, everybody go follow Joe. He's amazing. I hope you guys enjoyed this, got some value. Give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe right now. And if you want the Nama Juicer, which is amazing, I'll put my code down below. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.